Hello students, welcome to Educate. Today we'll be studying the fourth chapter of your class 12th history books, जो आपकी फर्स्ट बुक है थीम्स इन इंडियन हिस्ट्री। उसमें से हम फोर्थ चैप्टर पढ़ेंगे जिसका नाम है थिंकर्स, बिलीव्स एंड बिल्डिंग्स। So it talks about cultural developments. Up until now, we have studied about ancient Indian civilization throughout the Indus Valley, throughout history that was there. उसके बाद जो वैदिक पीरियड था, लिटरेचर की डेवलपमेंट हुई थी, कोडिफाइड लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एटसेट्रा थ्रू धर्म सूत्रास एंड धर्मशास्त्रास, different kings and kinship, and how the classes and castes were divided, how it shaped the society, relationships between different kingdoms, और उनके बीच में क्या हिस्ट्री जुड़ी हुई थी, क्या हम उनके बारे में पढ़ते हैं हिस्टोरिकली, इस सब के बारे में हमने जाना था। नाउ एज वी सी हियर, कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट्स के बारे में हम अब ज्यादा जानेंगे। हाउएवर इस टॉपिक पे हमने थोड़ा बहुत टचअप किया था जब हमने चैप्टर 3 पढ़ा था, विच डेल्ट विद किनशिप, कास्ट एंड क्लास। उसमें इस चैप्टर पे हमने कैसे, या फिर इस चैप्टर के बारे में थोड़ा सा हमने कैसे समझा था, दैट इज बिकॉज वी स्टडीड अबाउट महाभारत एंड रामायण। एज पर से रामायण एंड महाभारत को माइथोलॉजी की एक डेफिनेशन या एक संज्ञा भी दी जाती है। हो या ना हो वो डिबेट की बात है, and it would be absolutely unnecessary to get into that. However, what we can say is कि it was an important part of Indian literature, जिसमें कि बहुत सारी चीजें, what was wrong and right, this and that, righteousness and its path, whatever, morality, इन सब के बारे में बात हुई थी। So in this chapter, it will purely be considered as literature and its developments. How? Because we focus on how literary works had helped us get into the detail of ancient civilizations at that time. For example, inscriptions, pillars, और आपके scriptures हो गए, या फिर कोई ना कोई, जैसे इंडस वैली में भी हमें inscriptions देखने को मिली थी, उसी के थ्रू ही हिस्टोरियंस कोई ना कोई अपना नोशन या फिर अपनी थ्योरी, व्हाट वुड हैव बीन एट दैट टाइम द पीपल एंड द किंगडम, व्हाटएवर इट वाज, उससे पता लगा पाते हैं। तो हियर वी विल आल्सो डील विद मॉन्यूमेंट्स, प्रिजर्व्ड मॉन्यूमेंट्स सच एज द स्तूपा एट सांची। जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू अबाउट अनदर सच important place, which was Nalanda. Then we also had Takshashila. These were very important centers जहां पे लिटरेरी वर्क्स की अगर बात होती है, कल्चर की, लिटरेचर की, तो यहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा हमें देखने को मिला था। However, through years and years of invasions, ये अब उतना, या फिर इनके majority जो texts थे, most of them or even the monuments had been destroyed. However, a glimpse of Sanchi in the 19th century. क्या था वहां पे? The most wonderful ancient buildings in the state of Bhopal are at Sanchi Kanakheda, a small village under the brow of a hill, some 20 miles northeast, of Bhopal, which we visited yesterday. We inspected the stone sculptures and statues of the Buddha and an ancient gateway. The ruins appear to be the object of great interest to European gentleman Major Alexander Cunningham. Stayed several weeks in this neighborhood and examined these ruins most carefully. He took drawings of the place, deciphered the inscription, and bored shafts down these domes. The result of these investigations were described by him in an English work. So, from Shahjahan Begum, ये इन्होंने लिखा था इसके बारे में। So, ancient relics and also ancient monuments उनके ऊपर क्या inscriptions थी which dealt with poetic devices if there were any and that sort. 19th century Europeans were very interested at the stupa at Sanchi. In fact, the French sought Shah Jahan Begum's permission to take away the eastern gateway, which was the best preserved, to be displayed in a museum in France. For a while, some Englishmen also wanted to do the same, but fortunately both the French and the English were satisfied with carefully prepared plaster cast copies, and the original remained at the site, part of the Bhopal state. Okay? So the rulers of Bhopal, Shah Jahan Begum and her successor Sultan Jahan Begum, provided money for the preservation of the ancient site. No wonder then that John Marshall dedicated his important volumes on Sanchi to Sultan Jahan. She funded the museum that was built there as well as the guest house where he lived and wrote the volumes. She also funded the publication of the volumes, so if the stupa complex has survived, it is no small measure due to the wise decisions and to good luck in escaping the eyes of the railway contractors, builders and those looking for finds to carry away to the museums of Europe. One of the most important Buddhist centers, the discovery of Sanchi has vastly transformed our understanding of early Buddhism. Today, it stands testimony to the successful restoration and preservation of a key archaeological site by the Archaeological Survey of India or the ASI. Now, अब सांची स्तूपा के ईस्टर्न गेटवे के बारे में बात हो रही है कि कितना ज़्यादा French officers and British officers उस पर interested थे because it was so rich in carving and the whole architectural frame that was there, everything of that sort. But even then they left it and उसकी plaster copy से काम चला लिया. It was during the time of Begum Jahan of Bhopal कि इसकी मेंटेनेंस और देखरेख करी गई थी. All right? But what was the significance of the monument? Why was the mound built and what did it contain? Why is there a stone railing around it? Who built the complex for or paid for its construction? When was it discovered, so to say? There is a fascinating story that we can uncover at Sanchi, for which we must combine the information from texts, sculpture, architecture, and inscriptions. All right. So, सांची स्तूपा ये है, इसके आसपास रेलिंग बनी हुई है जो गेटवे है. इसके पीछे की स्टोरी क्या है? What is there to see over here? Okay. The background, sacrifices and debates. अब हम स्टार्ट करेंगे कि कैसे ये जो एक तरीके से हम कहते हैं कि नए नए फिलोसोफर्स, नए नए थिंकर्स उस टाइम पे इमर्ज हुए थे. What was it that compelled them to dive into this subject so deeply? All right. The mid-first millennium BC is often regarded as a turning point in world history. It saw the emergence of thinkers such as Zarathustra in Iran, जो पारसी रिलीजन है, उनके फाउंडर Zarathustra पर्शिया में, Gongzi in China, Taoism, Socrates, Plato and Aristotle in Greece, and Mahavir and Gautam Buddha, among many others in India. They tried to understand the mysteries of existence and relationship between human beings and the cosmic order. तो जिन लोगों को एक तरीके से यहां पे अगर समराइज करने की बात आए, गौतम बुद्धा एंड महावीर. सो देर ये जो थिंकर्स आए थे, दीज such great philosophers such as that of Buddha and Mahavir, their conception, their understanding and comprehension of religion, life, the depths of it was different from the Vedic notion. How? जो धर्म सूत्र और धर्मशास्त्र थे वो रिचुअल बेस्ड थे. अगर हम उपनिषद और वेदांत को हटा दें, जो 108 उपनिषद हैं उनको हटा दें, तो बेसिकली जो वैदिक ब्राह्मण थे, चाहे वो कौशिकी, ऐत्रेय, तैत्रीय, शतपथ, शंखायन, जैमिनी, गोपत, कुछ भी हो, ये बहुत ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स और बहुत ज्यादा ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट थे. एंड दे डेल्ट मोर विद सैक्रिफाइसेस, रिचुअल्स, एंड जो एक रिचुअलिस्टिक फॉर्म ऑफ वर्शिप होता है उस पर फोकस किया करते थे. बट गौतम बुद्धा एंड महावीर emphasized more on one's own self within. However, certain principles can be said to have been borrowed by the Vedic religion, such as rebirth, the concept of karma, dharma, dharma ko dhamma bana diya, and so on and so forth. So, as it is said here, existence and relationship between human beings and the cosmic order. This was, we can say in a way, that it was inspired from the Vedic fold, because at the end of the day, that happens to be the source of all these offshoots और न्यू रिलीजन्स जो उस टाइम पे आ रहे थे. तो इनकी इंस्पिरेशन वेदों से ही थी. हाउएवर, वेदों में कुछ चीजें इनको ठीक नहीं लगी, जिसकी वजह से इन्होंने अपना रिलीजन बनाया. और उन रिचुअल्स को, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वर्ण सिस्टम, कास्ट सिस्टम, जो हार्डकोर वैदिक प्रैक्टिसेस थी, उनका खंडन करते हुए, उनके अगेंस्ट जाते हुए गौतम बुद्ध ने अपनी फिलॉसफी दी थी, जिसमें कि कुछ पार्ट्स और कुछ आपको मेजॉरिटी चंक जो फिलॉसफी में मिलेगा बुद्धिज्म के, दैट इज टेकन फ्रॉम द वेदास, बट इन अ डिफरेंट एंड अ मोर न्यू अप्रोच, एज यू कैन से. All right. So this was also the time when new kingdoms and cities were developing and social and economic life was changing in a variety of ways in the Ganga Valley. These thinkers attempted to understand these developments as well. All right. So abhi we'll also touch upon later about the Bhakti movement. जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, the emergence of thinkers like Kabir, Surdas, Raidas, Ramdas, Guru Nanak, etc. इसी टाइम पे देखने को मिला था. All right, during the time of the Bhakti movement. However, the sacrificial tradition, there were several pre-existing traditions of thought, religious belief and practice, including the early Vedic tradition, known from the Rig Veda, compiled between 1500 to 10,000 BC, or 1000 BC, my apologies. The Rig Veda consists of hymns in praise of variety of deities, especially Agni, Indra, and Soma. Many of these hymns were chanted when sacrifices were performed, where people prayed for cattle, sons, good health, long life, etc. One of the most famous hymns from the Rig Veda, जो कि पढ़ाया जाता है, बहुत फेमस है, एंड जिसमें कि ऋग्वेद में जो पुरुष सूक्त आता है, उसमें एक बीच में there is a श्लोक which says नाभ्या आसीद अंतरिक्षकुम शीर्षणोदयो समर्वता पद्भ्याम भूर्मध्य शीर्षोक्ता तथा लोकान अकल्पयन. बेसिकली इसका मतलब क्या है? नॉट ओनली इन द ऋग्वेद का ये पुरुष सूक्त बताया मैंने. पुरुष सूक्त की एक लाइन है, सेकंड लास्ट स्टैंजा उसका. हाउएवर, मेनली द वेदा दैट डील्स विद सैक्रिफाइसेस इज अथर्ववेद एंड यजुर्वेद. ऑल्सो यजुर्वेद में उतना नहीं है, बट अथर्ववेद में ज्यादा है. ऑल राइट. अथर्ववेद में शिल्प वेद जो आता है उसमें सबसे ज्यादा ये हमें देखने को मिलता है. ऑल राइट. So, also along with certain tantric practices is also mentioned in the Atharva Ved. Okay? जिसमें कि गोपथ एंड जैमिनीय शतपथ ब्राह्मण में भी बताया जाता है. All right? So, where people prayed for all these things, sacrifices, rituals, etc. At first, sacrifices were performed collectively. Later, from 1000 to 500 BC onwards, some were performed by the heads of households for the well-being of the domestic unit. More elaborate sacrifices such as the Rajasuya and Ashwamedha Yagya were performed by chiefs and kings who depended on the Brahmin priest to conduct the ritual. All right. So, जितने भी उस टाइम पे किंग्स थे उनको अपना ये सैक्रिफाइसेस कराने होते थे, तो दे डिपेंडेड ऑन द ब्राह्मण्स ताकि वो रिचुअल्स को और सैक्रिफाइसेस को अच्छे से और एफिशिएंटली विदाउट एनी मिस्टेक एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू द वेदास एंड व्हाट वाज रिटन इन देम, ऑल द स्क्रिप्चर्स एंड द हिम्स, उसके अकॉर्डिंग कराते थे. ओके. New questions. Many ideas found in the Upanishads from the 6th century BC onwards show that people were curious about the meaning of life and the possibility of life after death. And rebirth. Was rebirth due to past actions? Such issues were hotly debated. Thinkers were concerned with understanding and expressing the nature of the ultimate reality, and others, outside the Vedic tradition, asked whether or not there even was a single ultimate reality. People also began speculating on the significance of the sacrificial tradition. Now, अगर हम उपनिषद की बात करें तो बृहदारण्यक उपनिषद, आरण्यक, ये सारे जो हमारे स्क्रिप्चर्स हमें देखने को मिलते हैं, खास करके बृहदारण्यक उपनिषद ऑनवर्ड्स, वहाँ पे हमें ये समझ में आता है कि अलग अलग वेदों का जो निचोड़ है, बेसिकली द समरी, व्हाट दे आर ट्राइंग टू से, उसका डीप मीनिंग क्या है, वो मैसेज क्या कन्वे करना चाह रहा है, वो हमें पता चलता है थ्रू द डेप्थ्स ऑफ नेचर एंड हाउ नेचर इज कनेक्टेड विद द वर्ल्ड. ये कॉन्सेप्ट दिए हुए हैं. हाउएवर लोगों के बीच में और ज्यादा जिज्ञासा, क्यूरियोसिटी जागने लग गई थी. ऑल बिकॉज the Vedas had, and also the Shastras which were compiled later by different sages, consisted of very hardcore ritualistic practices. So they were now being questioned about their respective validity. Now, debates and discussions. We get a glimpse of lively discussions and debates from Buddhist texts, which we mention as many as 64 sects or schools of thought. Teachers traveled from place to place, trying to convince one another as well as laypersons about the validity of their philosophy or the way of their understanding about the world. Debates took place in Kutagrashala, literally a hut with a pointed roof, or in groves where traveling mendicants halted. If a philosopher succeeded in convincing one of his rivals, the followers of the latter also became his disciples. So support for any particular sect could grow and shrink over time. इसको कहा जाता है शास्त्रार्थ. ओके, शास्त्रार्थ, तर्क वितर्क. या चर्चा। ऑलराइट, ये चीजें होती थी जो कि काफी लंबे समय तक इसका ट्रेडिशन चलता रहा। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ देयर वॉज वन गुरु हु थॉट ही वॉज सुपीरियर टू द अदर गुरु, he would always challenge him for a शास्त्रार्थ, a discussion, and जो शास्त्रार्थ में हार जाता था उसके फॉलोअर्स जीतने वाले के चेले बन जाते थे। ऑलराइट, कभी कभी हारने वाला खुद भी चेला बन जाता था। इन मेनी स्टोरीज ऑफ आदि शंकराचार्य ये हमें देखने को मिला है। while he traveled throughout the country and basically discussed about his philosophies and his understanding about the Vedas. Many of these teachers, including Mahavir and Buddha, questioned the authority of the Vedas. Very important. Why? They questioned the authority of the Vedas. They also emphasized individual agency, suggesting that men and women could strive to attain liberation from the trials and tribulations of worldly existence. This was in marked contrast to the Brahmanical position, wherein, as we have seen, an individual's existence was thought to be determined by his or her birth in a specific caste or class or gender. Alright, so how was it different? Because worldly existence से डिटैचमेंट के बारे में बुद्धिज्म बात करता था कि as soon as you're born, हम जब भी पैदा होते हैं हमारा मेन एम है लिबरेशन या फिर मोक्ष, द साइकिल ऑफ कर्मा। जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, बुद्धिज्म का जो सिंबल है रिलीजन का वो कुछ ऐसा है, द व्हील ऑफ बुद्धा। मतलब कि जो टिबेटियन बुद्धिज्म है, हिनायान, महायान, कोई भी सेक्ट हो बुद्धिज्म का, वो बात करते हैं अबाउट द सर्कल ऑफ लाइफ और इससे मुक्ति या मोक्ष पाने की। ऑलराइट, ये फिलॉसफी हिंदू रिलीजन में भी थी, बट डिफरेंस ये है दैट वैदिक रिलीजन में बहुत ज्यादा सैक्रिफाइसेस, रिचुअल्स, कास्ट एंड सारे जो ट्रेडिशंस होते हैं वो ज्यादा थे। बुद्धिज्म मेनली challenged the authority of the Vedas, and basically they wanted to seek higher truth. All right, so verses from the Upanishads. Here are two verses from the Chandogya Upanishad, composed in Sanskrit in 6th century BCE. The nature of the self. As I mentioned before, Upanishads क्या थे? अगर इनको डिफाइन करना हो, Vedas simplified कैसे? ओके, हाउ? बिकॉज जो वेदों में ब्राह्मण थे, द ब्राह्मणास नॉट द कास्ट की बात नहीं कर रहा मैं बात कर रहा हूं उस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन ऑफ द बुक जो कि हार्डकोर रिचुअल्स एंड ट्रेडिशंस एक बहुत ही ऑर्थोडॉक्स मैनर में समझाता है। उपनिषद उसको सिंप्लीफाई करके लाइक अ समरी एक्सप्लेन करता है। ऑलराइट, somewhat like a summary. So, two verses from the Chandogya Upanishad, the nature of the self. This self of mine within the heart is smaller than paddy or barley, or mustard or millet, or the kernel of a seed of a millet. The self of mine within the heart is greater than the earth, greater than the intermediate space, greater than heaven, greater than these worlds. The true sacrifice, this one, the wind that blows, this is surely a sacrifice. While moving, it sacrifices all this. Therefore, it is indeed a sacrifice. All right? So, ये जो theories हैं वेदों के बारे में about लेटिंग गो, डिटैचमेंट एटसेट्रा, ये सब सिंप्लीफाइड तरीके से हमें उपनिषद्स में समझने को मिलता है. ऑल राइट. हाउ बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट वर प्रिपेयर्ड एंड प्रिजर्व. अब बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट्स को प्रिजर्व कैसे किया जाता था? सो दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, तो बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट्स में होता क्या था? द बुद्धा एंड द अदर टीचर्स taught orally through discussion and debate. Men and women, perhaps children as well, attended these discourses and discussed what they heard. None of the Buddha's speeches were written during his lifetime. After his death, somewhere around 5th to 4th century BCE, his teachings were compiled by his disciples at a council of elders or senior monks at Vaishali, Pali for Vaishali in present-day Bihar. These compilations were known as Tripitaka. What were they known as? Tripitaka. Important. Literally 3 baskets to hold different types of texts. 3 baskets जिसमें अलग अलग texts हों, त्रिपिताका कहा जाते थे. All right? एंड ये बेसिकली जो बुद्धा की स्पीचेस थी वो उनके डेथ के बाद कंपाइल करी गई. उनके जिंदा रहते रहते नहीं हो पाया था ये. हाउएवर, अ काउंसिल ऑफ सीनियर मंक्स एंड ओल्डर पीपल वैशाली में जब वो गैदर हुए, उन्होंने इसको कंपाइल किया और इस बारे में लिखा. द विनय पिताका इंक्लूडेड रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस फॉर दोज हु जॉइंड द संघ और मोनास्टिक ऑर्डर. The Buddha's teachings were included in the Sutta Pitaka and the Abhidhamma Pitaka, dealt with philosophical matters. Each Pitaka comprised a number of individual texts. Later, commentaries were written on these texts by Buddhist monks and scholars. All right. उस टाइम पे जैसे कि हम बात करें विनय पिताका की, वो रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस उन लोगों के लिए बताता है जो नए नए लोग संघ या फिर जो एक बुद्धिज्म का एक फोल्ड था उसको ज्वाइन करते हैं उनके लिए. एंड बुद्धा की जो टीचिंग थी वो सुत्त पिताका में मेनली दे रखी थी कि बुद्धा क्या कहना चाह रहा है लाइफ के बारे में. अभिधम पिताका फिलोसॉफिकल मैटर्स, फिलोसफी, सोच विचार, the depths of life, discussing what Buddha discussed, and उसको और अच्छे से डेप्थ में जाना, that was Abhidhamma Pitaka. So Vinay Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka. All right. As Buddhism traveled to new regions such as Sri Lanka, other texts such as the Deepavamsha, literally the chronicle of the island, and the Mahavansh, the greater chronicle, were written. Deepavansh and Mahavansh after Buddhism reached Sri Lanka, containing regional histories of Buddhism. Many of these works contained biographies of the Buddha. Some of the oldest texts are in Pali, while later compositions are in Sanskrit. पुराने वाले पाली में हैं, लेकिन जो थोड़े बाद में आने लगे वो संस्कृत में थे. When Buddhism spread to East Asia, pilgrims such as Fa Xian and Xuanzang traveled all the way from China to India in search of texts. These they took back to their own country, where they were translated by scholars. Indian Buddhist teachers also traveled faraway places, carrying texts to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha. Buddhist texts were preserved in manuscripts for several centuries in monasteries in different parts of Asia. Modern translations have been prepared from Pali, Sanskrit, Chinese and Tibetan texts. अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस में था. दीपवंश, महावंश के बाद जो ईस्टर्न एशिया में चाइना, जापान, कोरिया, इन कंट्रीज में, या फिर हम थाईलैंड, कंबोडिया, लाओस, इन कंट्रीज की बात करते हैं, तो यहाँ पे जो बुद्धिज्म स्प्रेड हुआ, तो वहां से जो मंक्स आए थे उन लोगों ने काफी सारे टेक्स्ट्स जो इंडिया में कंपाइल करे गए थे ओरिजिनली, दे वर इंस्पायर्ड बाय दैट एंड टुक देम बैक होम एंड गॉट देम ट्रांसलेटेड. अ लॉट ऑफ इंडियन बुद्धिस्ट्स ऑल्सो बहुत ज्यादा ट्रैवल करते थे ताकि बुद्धा की टीचिंग्स को स्प्रेड कर पाए. ऑलराइट, okay, so here is an excerpt from Sutta Pitaka describing a conversation between King Ajatasattu, the ruler of Magad, and the Buddha. अजातशत्रु एक किंग था मगध का, उसके बीच में और बुद्धा के बीच में जो कॉन्वर्सेशन थी, उससे एक्सर्प्ट है from the Sutta Pitaka, which deals with the teachings of the Buddha. Remember that. On one occasion, King Ajatasattu visited the Buddha and described what another teacher named Makhali Ghoshal had told him. Though the wise should hope by this virtue, by this penance, I will gain karma. And the fool should by the same means hope to gradually rid himself of his karma, neither of them can do it. Pleasure and pain, measured out as it were, cannot be altered in the course of samsara or transmigration. Alright? It can either be lessened or increased, just as ball of string, when thrown, unwinds to its full length. So fool and wise alike will take their course and make an end of sorrow. And this is what a philosopher named Ajit Kesambakalin taught. There is no such thing, O king, as alms or sacrifice or offerings. There is no such thing as this world or the next. A human being is made up of 4 elements. When he dies, earth in him returns to the earth, the fluid to water, the fire, the heat to fire, the wind to air, and his senses pass into space. The talk of gifts is a doctrine of fools, an empty lie. Fools and wise alike are cut off and perish. They do not survive after death. The first teacher belonged to the tradition of the Ajivaks. They often have been described as fatalists, those who believe that everything is predetermined. The second teacher belonged to the tradition of the Lokayats, usually described as materialists. Texts from these traditions have not survived, so we know about them only from the works of other traditions. Now, very important. So Buddha and his disciples and this particular king talks about कि वो कैसे कुछ पेनेंस करके, पेनेंस एज इन कुछ रिचुअल, कुछ दान, डोनेशन, कोई सैक्रिफाइस करके, कोई ऐसी चीज करके अपना कर्मा अच्छा कर लेगा. However, the Buddhist philosophy says otherwise. It says that karma can only be achieved through internal dialogue and internal cleansing, not through materialistic desires, and also ये जो पेनेंस होता है या सैक्रिफाइसेस होते हैं, दे यील्ड नो प्रॉफिट एंड बेसिकली दे आर यूजलेस एंड दे कॉज नो harm or even good in anyone's lives who performs it. Basically, जो different schools of thought थे उस टाइम पे within Buddhism and even outside, अजीवक and लोकायत. अजीवक मतलब कि सब कुछ पहले से जो होना है वो तय है, उसमें नॉर्मल इंसान कुछ नहीं कर सकता. और एक लोकायत जिन्हें बहुत ज्यादा मटीरियलिस्टिक माना जाता था, who were very cut away or they had been swayed away from the field of insightfulness or even depth and philosophy. All right. Oops. Beyond worldly pleasures, the message of Mahavir. Mahavir was the founder of the religion of Jainism in today's time. All right, okay. Basic philosophy of the Jainas was already in the existence of North India even before the birth of Mahavir or Vardhaman, who came to be known as Mahavir later. Birth का नाम वर्धमान था. All right. So, in the 6th century BC, में इनका जन्म हुआ था. According to Jain tradition, Mahavir was preceded by 23 other teachers or Tirthankaras, literally those who guide men and women across the river of coexistence. तीर्थांकर का मतलब क्या होता है? जो इस जो रिवर ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस है, ये जो जिंदा रहने की नदी है, उसको पार लगाने के लिए तीर्थांकर हेल्प करते हैं थ्रू इंसाइटफुलनेस एंड इंटरनल डायलॉग और मेडिटेशन, स्पिरिचुअल थिंकिंग एटसेट्रा, एंड हेल्प इंडिविजुअल्स क्रॉस दैट particular river or this worldly suffering of Maya. Okay, the most important idea is in Jainism is that the entire world is animated, just like as you must have seen in the movie Matrix, or different such analogies can be made for this particular thought. Even stones, rocks and water have life. So the philosophy says of Jainism कि हर चीज सांस लेती है, हर चीज जिंदा है. Non-injury to living beings, especially to humans, animals, plants and insects, is central to the Jain philosophy. Non-violence and detachment. So in Buddhism, it was non-violence, but mainly detachment, deep insightfulness, spiritual thinking and insight, so on and so forth. However, the core principles of Mahavir, or basically as we can say Jainism, is that non-injury, non-injury, and the entire world is animated. All right, or as they said, Maya. Okay, so in fact, the principle of ahimsa emphasized within Jainism has left its mark on Indian thinking as a whole. According to Jain teachings, the cycle of rebirth and birth is shaped through karma. आप जैसा कर्म करेंगे वैसा आपका अगला जन्म मिलेगा. That means that the Jains believed in the afterlife. All right. So asceticism and penance are required to free oneself from the cycle of karma. Asceticism, detachment, living like a hermit, basically not being away from worldly pleasures or worldly duties, staying secluded, and so on and so forth. और साथ में meditation is an integral part of achieving salvation and to make sure that the next birth is better. All right, this can be achieved only by renouncing the world according to the Jain philosophy. Therefore, monastic existence is a necessary condition of salvation. Necessary condition of salvation is detachment. All right, renouncing the world. Okay, monastic existence. Jain monks and nuns took 5 vows. 5 promises लिए जाते थे. जो भी जैन monks होते थे वो ऐसा करते थे. वो 5 या 5 promises क्या होते थे? So, to abstain from killing, 1, stealing and lying, to observe celibacy, and to abstain from possessing property. Property नहीं लेनी, physical relation से दूर रहना, not to kill anyone, झूठ ना बोलना, चोरी ना करना, etc. All right. So this is what we have studied about the Jain philosophy. The world beyond the palace. Just as the Buddha's teachings were compiled by his followers, the teachings of Mahavir were also recorded by his disciples. These were often in the forms of stories which could appeal to ordinary people. Here is one example from a Prakrit text known as the Uttardhyan Sutta, describing how a queen named Kamlavati used to persuade her husband to renounce the world. All right? So, जैसे बुद्धा की टीचिंग्स कंपाइल करी गई थी, ठीक उसी तरीके से महावीर की टीचिंग्स को भी कंपाइल किया गया था आफ्टर हिज डेथ. सो ये स्टोरीज के फॉर्म में होती थी ताकि नॉर्मल लोगों को समझ आए और वो उससे रिलेट कर पाए और उससे कनेक्ट भी कर पाए. ऑलराइट, सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द एक्सर्प्ट्स फ्रॉम अ प्राकृत टेक्स्ट known as the उत्तरध्यायन सूत. ऑलराइट, जो कि एक क्वीन, एक रानी कमलावती के बारे में है, जो अपने हस्बैंड को कन्विंस करने की कोशिश करती है कि ये मोह माया को छोड़ दे और सन्यास ले ले. सो इफ द होल वर्ल्ड एंड ऑल इट्स ट्रेजर्स वर योर्स, यू वुड नॉट बी सैटिस्फाइड, nor would all this be able to save you. When you die, O king, and leave all the things behind, Dhamma alone and nothing else will save you. Dhamma, the act of righteousness, different from the definition of dharma according to the Hindu scriptures or Vedic scriptures. So, as a bird dislikes the cage, so do I dislike the world. I shall live as a nun without an offspring, without desire, without the love of gain, loss, and without hatred. Those who have enjoyed pleasures and renounced them moved about like the wind and go wherever they please. Unchecked like birds in their flight, leave your large kingdom. Abandon what pleases the senses. Be without attachment and property, then practice severe penance, being firm of energy. All right. So, this is one of the excerpts from the Antardhyan Sut, which talks about worldly detachment and the emphasis on it by Jainism and its core philosophies. All right, Jainism may be Shwetambar, Pitambar, different sects हैं, and also Hinayana and Mahayana Buddhism does also have sects. Neo-Buddhism is also a part, so we'll be reading about that as well. The spread of Jainism. Gradually, Jainism spread to many parts of India. Like the Buddhists, Jain scholars produced a wealth of literature in a variety of languages: Prakrit, Sanskrit, and Tamil. इवन तमिल लिटरेचर बहुत ज़्यादा था when it came to Jain texts and their interpretations and translations. तो तमिल में भी बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ाया जाता था. For centuries, manuscripts of these texts were carefully preserved in libraries attached to their respective temples. Some of the earliest stone sculptures associated with the religious traditions were produced by the devotees of the Jain Tirthankaras and have been recovered from several sites throughout the subcontinent. All right. Deepvansh, Mahavansh, new sects of Buddhism, and at the same time Tirthankar, जो कि रिवर ऑफ सफरिंग से आपको पार लगाए एक नॉर्मल इंसान को. All right. The Buddha and the quest for enlightenment. We'll read about that. One of the most influential teachers of the time was the Buddha. How? Over the centuries, his message spread across the subcontinent and beyond, through Central Asia to China, Korea and Japan, and through Sri Lanka all across to Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, etc. and even Indonesia. How do we know about the Buddha's teachings? हमें कैसे पता? These have been reconstructed by carefully editing, translating and analyzing Buddhist texts mentioned earlier. Historians have also tried to reconstruct details of his life from hagiographies. Many of these were written down at least a century after the time of the Buddha in an attempt to preserve memories of the great leader. Among these were according to the traditions, Siddhartha, as the Buddha was named at birth, was the son of a chief, or basically kind of like a royal. Hagiography is a biography of a saint or a religious figure. Hagiographies often praise the saint's achievements and may not always be literally accurate. They are important because they tell us about the beliefs of the followers of that particular tradition. All right? तभी हम hagiographies को consider करते हैं. All right. Chief of the Shakya clan. All right? Buddha was the son of the chief of a Shakya clan. He was a chief, not a king, which means that it had been a republic or even an oligarchy, inspired by the Greek traditions or ancient Greek traditions at that time, जो हमने पिछले chapters में पढ़ा था. He had sheltered upbringing within the palace, insulated from the harsh realities of the world or even of life. One day, he persuaded his charioteer to take him to the city. His first journey into the world outside was traumatic. He was deeply anguished when he saw an old man, a sick man, and a corpse. He realized in that moment that the decay and destruction of the human body was inevitable. He also saw a homeless mendicant who, it seemed to him, had come to terms with old age, disease, and death and found peace. Siddhartha decided that he too would stop. He too would adopt the same path. Soon after, he left the palace and set out in the search of his own truth. Siddhartha explored several paths, including bodily mortification, which led him to a situation of near death. Abandoning these extreme methods, he meditated for several days and finally attained enlightenment. After this, he came to be known as the Buddha or the Enlightened One. For the rest of his life, he taught Dhamma or the path of righteous living. So King Siddhartha, आप सभी को स्टोरी पता होगी. वो एक राजकुमार थे, एक प्रिंस थे ऑफ द शाक्या क्लैन. उनको पैलेस के अंदर रखा जाता था, उन्हें दुनिया के बारे में नहीं पता था. एक दिन उन्होंने खुद से डिसाइड किया कि वो अपने किंगडम के बाहर जाकर देखें और समझें कि एक्चुअल में हो क्या रहा है. and what he saw was really disturbing. He didn't like it. He saw suffering, pain, और उन्हें ये समझ में आया था that it is at the end of the day inevitable, ये होना ही है. And basically Siddharth or Buddha earlier decided to leave his palace and seek for and basically seek truth and look at the world as it was and understand the reality. And also bodily mortification भी बुद्धा ने ट्राई करी थी, जिससे कि वो ऑलमोस्ट मरने वाले थे. Then simple form of meditation and penance is something that he was adamant or stuck with. All right, so he followed that path. आगे जाते जाते as he kept on meditating, he reached the stage of enlightenment, और फिर उनका नाम बुद्धा पड़ गया, which means enlightened one. And after he achieved enlightenment, he basically started teaching people about righteousness or dhamma. All right, the path to righteous living. Okay, the teachings of the Buddha. अब teachings of the Buddha कौन से पिताका में मेंशन है? वो है सूत पिताका. Pitaka means different baskets of flowers. All right, the Buddha's teachings have been reconstructed from stories found mainly in the Sut Pitaka. Although some stories describe his miraculous powers, others suggest that Buddha tried to convince people through reason and persuasion, rather than through his displays of supernatural power. कई लोग ये आर्ग्यू करते हैं कि बुद्धा ने बहुत ज़्यादा सुपरनैचुरल पावर्स दिखाई थी, उसका डिस्प्ले किया था, जिससे कि वो अपने फॉलोअर्स बढ़ाना चाह रहे थे. But at the same time, we see from the scriptures, inscriptions, and historical documentations that it was through debate, convincing, and reasoning with different religious and philosophical groups that eventually the Buddha and his teachings were spread as far as we can see now. So, for instance, when a grief-stricken woman whose child had died came to the Buddha, he gently convinced her about the inevitability of death, rather than bring her son back to life. These stories were narrated in the language spoken by ordinary people so that these could be easily understood. Now, Sutta Pitaka में एक ऐसा स्टोरी हमें देखने को मिलती है, एक ऐसी स्टोरी देखने को मिलती है जिसमें एक बहुत ज़्यादा बूढ़ी औरत है जिसका बेटा मर चुका है. वो बुद्धा के पास अपने बेटे को लेके जाती है, and the Buddha, rather than curing her son with miraculous and supernatural powers, what he does is he convinces the old lady about the inevitability of death. Also, these stories were written or translated in very basic ordinary languages. संस्कृत जैसी लैंग्वेज में नहीं थी जो कि बहुत कम यूज होती थी. Only the elite strata of the society at that time, mainly Brahmins and sometimes Kshatriyas, ही इसको समझ पाते थे. So that is why local languages में इनको कंपाइल करना और लिखना ज्यादा feasible और sensible समझा गया. According to Buddhist philosophy, the world is transient, anik, and constantly changing. It is also soulless, anat, as there is nothing permanent or eternal in it. Within its transient world, sorrow or dukh is intrinsic to human existence. It is by following the path of moderation between severe penance and self-indulgence that human beings can rise above these worldly troubles. In the earliest forms of Buddhism, whether or not God existed was irrelevant. बेसिकली उस टाइम पे जो डिबेट था बुद्धिज्म का, वो सीधा सीधा ये था कि गॉड एग्जिस्ट करता है या नहीं करता, ये बड़ी बात नहीं है. मेनली व्हाट इट सेज इज द बुद्धिस्ट फिलॉसफी द वर्ल्ड इज ट्रांजिएंट, ठीक है, अनेक, एंड वो अपने सोललेस कैरेक्टर से बिना किसी इमोशन से अटैच हुए अपने पेस पे चलती रहती है. और इस वजह से दुख और सौरो इसका एक इनएविटेबल पार्ट है या इसका एक हिस्सा है। उससे होता क्या है, जो दुख है उससे हटाने के लिए और जो इनएविटेबल चीजें जो इस माया में या फिर इस इल्यूजन वाले वर्ल्ड में होती हैं, तो या तो हम बहुत ज्यादा सीवियर पेनेंस करें, बहुत ज्यादा डीप मेडिटेशन, और बहुत ज्यादा ओवर इंडल्जेंस इन ऑल दिस माया इल्यूजन्स एंड हाउ द बुद्धिस्ट स्क्रिप्चर्स और द फिलोसफी व्यूज द वर्ल्ड, उसमें ओवर इंडल्ज करना भी एक इमोरलिटी या फिर सिन कंसिडर किया जा सकता है। However, as the universe is considered to be soulless according to the philosophy, हमें यह भी जानना जरूरी है कि it was the moderation between these two, as Buddha himself almost died when he was trying to get his body mortified for spiritual and meditating purposes. दोनों के बीच में बैलेंस कैरी करना is something what Buddhism talks about. Buddhism in practice, उसके बारे में और डिटेल में, दिस इज एन एक्सर्प्ट फ्रॉम द सुत्त पिताका, अगेन contains the advice given by the Buddha to a wealthy householder named Sigala. What does he say? In 5 ways should a master look after his servants and employees: by assigning them work according to their strength, by supplying them with food and wages, by tending them in sickness, by sharing delicacies with them, and by granting leave at times. In 5 ways should the classman look after the needs of samans, those who have renounced the world, sannyasi एक तरीके से, and brahmans, by affection, in act and speech, by mind, by keeping open house to them and supplying their worldly needs. There are similar instructions to Sigala about how to behave with his parents, teachers and wife. Now, सुत्त पिताका में जो स्टोरी हमें देखने को मिलती है, ये क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन करती है बेसिकली दैट जो सिगाला एक बहुत ही वेल्दी हाउस होल्डर था, उसको बताते हैं कि अपने सर्वेंट को कैसे ट्रीट करना चाहिए, सही तरीका क्या है। वो सही तरीका जो बताया है कि उनको काम दिया जाए अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर स्ट्रेंथ। अगर आप किसी हाथी को पेड़ चढ़ने के लिए बोलोगे या फिर किसी बंदर को बोलोगे कि इतना सारा वजन खींच के दिखाए, सो दैट वुड नॉट मेक एनी सेंस। इन दैट वेरी सेम वे, assigning them work according to their strengths, also by supplying them with food and wages, उनको या तो खाना देना या सैलरी देना, किसी ना किसी तरीके से पे बैक करना। by tending them in sickness, जब वो बीमार हो जाएं तो उनकी देखरेख करना ताकि उनकी जो सेहत है दोबारा से तंदुरुस्त हो पाए, दोबारा से ठीक हो पाए। by sharing delicacies with them, अपना खाना उनके साथ शेयर करना, and basically sharing whatever you have with yourself with them as much as possible, and at last by granting them leaves at times, कभी कभी उनको छुट्टी दे देना, ऑफ दे देना। So these were the 5 ways in which the classmen or the rich people should look after their servants according to the Buddha. All right? The Buddha regarded the social world as the creation of humans rather than of divine origin. Therefore, he advised kings and Gahapatis to be human and ethical. Individual effort was expected to transform social relations. The Buddha emphasized individual agency and righteous action as the means to escape from the cycle of rebirth and self-realization and nibbana or nirvana, moksha. Literally, the extinguishing of the ego and desire, and thus the cycle of suffering for those who renounced the world. According to Buddhist tradition, his last words to his followers were, "Be lamps unto yourselves, as all of you must work out on your own liberation." So liberation is something that is individual. own righteous karmas, उसके थ्रू गाइड किया जाता है. And all this illusion or maya is created by humans rather than being of divine natural order. Apart from that, अपनी ईगो को एक्सटिंग्विश करना, हेट्रेड को खत्म करना, दूसरों के प्रति सहानुभूति लाना और एम्पैथी टुवर्ड्स अदर्स as mentioned here to be humane and ethical, and at the same time self-realization and how the Buddha says be lamps unto yourselves. अपने आप के लिए थोड़ा मेडिटेट करें, अपने अंदर को जानें, अपने कर्मास और अपने राइट एक्ट्स, रॉन्ग एक्शंस, इन सबको एनालाइज करें, बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे लिबरेशन is an individual path. So this was the first part of the 4th chapter of your class 12th history, and in the next part we'll be moving on with this chapter further. Thank you, Team Educate.